is Chris Holton-Jablonski, and it is my great joy and my deep honor to serve you as your minister and to welcome you to a very special digital offering this week where we highlight some of our Transylvanian students that we are sponsoring and helping through our scholarship program. And it's another invitation to participate in that program, but also to reflect a little bit on the current war in Ukraine and some of the different factors, questions, and opportunities for us in the midst of this complex moment. But before we get going, wanted to share a couple things coming your way in the not too distant future. By the time you see this, we will be having the first of our 4 outdoor services this spring. We have outdoor service today on April 3rd, and then again on Easter on April 17th, and then in May for our youth service, which is always wonderful, on May 15th, and then June on June 12th. So we look forward to seeing you. All of those outdoor services will be one service at 10 o'clock, and they'll be right out there on the green, right next door. It's a wonderful setting, and it's great to have everybody all together. So do please come to those. As always, if you have any questions, you can reach out. I'm very much available and happy to chat. Starting that Sunday, we will be beginning the next phase of our COVID protocol. We sent out a little letter, check it out, it's in your email, that kind of goes into details about it, but we will be mask optional indoors for worship and for meetings and for all of our programming. There's a whole conversation in the letter that was sent to you. Our Thursday evening Vesper services continue to be nice and small. So if you're feeling a little more COVID cautious, feel free to come to those. And we have our fancy air handling system inside. So inside is almost as good an air as outside. And for Sunday mornings, we'll have the parlor set up with chairs. And so that'll be an opportunity for folks who want to sit a little bit farther away from people. But as always, we encourage you to stay home if you're sick, mask up if you feel more comfortable in masks, and I will always be testing before worship, so know that many of the staff will be testing diligently, and as we have this whole time for these many years that we've been facing this strange and encompassing challenge, we will be making our way through it together. So if you have questions, do please reach out. Again, I'm very much around and available and happy to chat. Wanted to lift up a couple other things coming. We have a wonderful event on Tuesday, April 5th, about the war in Ukraine, and it's a special event with Gerald Easter from BC and our very own Dick Kobayashi and Livia Ratz, and that'll be mediated by David Deese, also our very own. And the question is the war in Ukraine an ethnic conflict, looking at war and its consequences? So do please come to that. That'll be really wonderful. And in addition, lots of other adult programs, lots of groups, lots of opportunities to serve. So if you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out. For Lillian Anderson or really any of us on staff can get you connected to folks who would have the answers to your questions. So for now, come, let us worship together. And we begin with a very special song that Irina, our wonderful alto, shared in worship a little while ago. It's a Ukrainian folk song that her mother sang to her years and years ago. So do enjoy.
Чому я не соки
So before we hear testimonials from our scholarship students, I wanted to share a very little bit about a teaching that I received recently from a Buddhist teacher named Claude Ong Sin Thomas. Claude was a guest on a wonderful podcast called the 10% Happier podcast. And he's a Buddhist teacher who was also a soldier, fought in Vietnam, and he reflects on his path and his advocacy and work with veterans. But he said this one thing in the midst of this teaching that has just stuck with me. Many of you have reached out to ask, facing this war in Ukraine, how can we make sense of it? How can we process it? What can we do? And on one level, we have been very generous. So many of you have been very generous. We can support the good work of relief efforts through our partners in the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, who were our special donation, our special shared plate for all of last month. You can still donate, uusc.org, right there on the very first page. There's a link to donate. So it really matters that we support relief efforts. And on a spiritual level, the fascinating thing that Claude mentioned was that another thing that we can do is reflect on the sources, he says, to look at the roots of war, violence, and suffering within ourselves. So in the midst of taking in all of these images, taking in all of these stories, to reflect and sit with, to ask ourselves, what are the roots of war, violence, and suffering inside ourselves? He said so beautifully and complicatedly that war is an outward manifestation of individual suffering, which is fascinating and deserves a whole long time to unpack. But sitting with it, sitting with the news from Ukraine, sitting with the stories from people within our own community and our wider community, people whose families are especially feeling deep, deep despair. I've come back to this teaching, within me, what are the sources, what are the roots of war, violence, and suffering? And beautifully, the other thing that he says in the midst of this teaching is that then, sitting with, contemplating, getting in touch with the sources of war, violence, and suffering within ourselves, then in addition to supporting these wonderful organizations, in addition to supporting these students through scholarships, in addition to doing all of this far away stuff, there's also opportunities to address the roots of war, violence, and suffering in our own immediate lives, in our own families, in our own neighborhoods. So the work that we do together at First Church to help address the roots of war, violence, and suffering also is a way that we respond to the conflict in Ukraine. And I found that so helpful. And this is part of the context that I enthusiastically embrace and support our scholarship program this year with our friends and partners over in Transylvania. So we have some wonderful videos and testimonials from some of those students. And in the email that brought you this and in the description of the video, there's a link to be able to participate and support the scholarship fund. So anything you can do is deeply appreciated and makes a huge difference in the lives of these students and in the community of Deshvalva, our partners over in Transylvania. So here are some of their stories.
Dear Unitarian community of Belmont, my name is Magyaros Ireka. I'm a final year law student, and I want to say thank you for the support you offered Along the years, it was very useful for us. I personally bought books that were necessary for my studies. I also bought a printer last year that helped me a lot while I was studying online. Thank you again for your support. We wish you all the best. God bless you.
Hello and God bless. My name is Molnár Boroka, and first of all, I would like to thank you for your kindness and for your appreciation for our hard work and for our studies. And I would like to tell you that I used my scholarship for my further studies. I chose a university where I learn English and German on a very high level to become a translator and an interpreter. And I used the money for buying different kind of workbooks, and I started to learn languages such as French with the help of different applications, which I paid for from the money you offered us and offered me. So I would like to thank you, and God bless you all. Bye.
Hi. First of all, I want to say hello to everyone who's watching these videos. So I made this video to say thank you for your support, for the scholarship we get from you every single year. It helps us a lot. For me personally, it means a lot, and it is a big help because I'm in a school that is very far from my home, and I have to stay in the town, so I have to pay for that, and I have to pay kind of much, so it helps me a lot. My parents give me pocket money every single week, but with this money I get from you, I can avoid them giving me money, so they can save up too. Besides this, I buy school supplies and clothes for school, so it helps me kind of much. And this relationship for me means a lot, even though we're not keeping in touch that often as we should, I guess, but we are really thankful for this relationship. And I can say, I guess in everybody's name, that we can't wait to see you and meet you again after such a long time. So we hope to see you soon, and thank you again.
My name is Laura Molnár, and I'm recording this video to recite you what did I spend my scholarship for. First of all, I would like to thank you all of your support and help. It means a lot to us, so please accept our deep thanks. Personally, I bought several things from my scholarship. For example, I financed my English studies because I've paid for some English lessons to pass the language exam, and also I could purchase to my DSLR camera. Taking photos is my big hobby, and I'm really interested in taking pictures in the nature. So it's a big step for me to that I can use camera, not just my mobile. And also I spent it for some smaller things like clothes and books, and I also bought some accessories to the dormitory when I used to live in a dorm. And yes, this scholarship takes off a part of burden from my parents and grandparents. They work hard to ensure all of the necessaries so all of the things I need, and this scholarship is a big help for them. So I would like to thank you again and wish you the best. And yes, we are very grateful for your generosity. God bless you. Goodbye.
We give thanks. We give thanks for the circles of accountability and support which stretch so far and wide, all the way across oceans. We give thanks for this opportunity over and over to examine, to heal the roots of war, violence, and suffering in our own hearts, in our own lives, in our families, in our neighborhoods, in our communities. We give thanks for this day, for these lives, for all that remains possible.